I thought I'd just put together a short video showcasing my interest in viticulture, which is growing of vines. Okay, so here we are in the greenhouse. In here there are 7 vines. These vines were planted in November 2018. They were planted as 2-year-old vines, so this year they're going to be in their 4th year. I've got a Pinot Blanc, 2 Gamay. Those of you who know about Gamay, this is the grape that produces Beaujolais. And then on this side I have 3 Black Hamburg, which are German grapes, and a Pinot Noir, which is the grape that gives us champagne, but also gives us some lovely red wines as well. Problem you've got with young vines is that you can't allow too many bunches of grapes to develop, because the young plant needs to put most of its effort into producing root. So I was advised that during the first year I should only leave probably 1 bunch of grape on each arm. So the way that I developed these grapes to grow is it's a French method of growing grapes, which is the Guillot method. And what we do, or what I do, is that you allow 1 branch to grow vertically up the cane, but as far as it wants to go, and then you train an arm, a double Guillot, where you train off a Guillot to each side, and this is where the grapes will produce. Now last year, on each of these arms, I allowed 1 or 2 bunches of grapes to develop, because grapes will only grow on new shoots. They don't produce grapes on old wood. So this year it's going to be slightly different, because I've developed an arm each side. The new grapes are going to come on these new green shoots, and as you can see, this is the main arm going vertically up. There's already 3 bunches of grapes. They're florets. They're going to flower and will produce technically a bunch of grapes on each one of them. I probably have to decide which ones I'm going to nip out, because they are still young vines and I don't want too many bunches. As tempting as it is, I think we're probably looking at 4 or 5 bunches of grapes on each vine this year. Okay, of interest at the far end of the greenhouse here, this Black Hamburg vine is probably about 8-year-old, and I bought it and grew it outside for many years without a grape on it, not a hint of a grape. When I bought this greenhouse, I took pity on this vine and brought it in from outside, and last year we had 6 fabulous bunches of grapes off it. This one here is also a Black Hamburg, and it's a good example really of how last year's Guillot was trained across and produced grapes. That's as far as I want them to go. The object of the exercise this year is the 2nd wire, where there'll be another arm brought out. Once these shoots develop, they'll be trained onto these wires to the left and to the right. They'll produce grapes probably this year. There's already a floret on each of these. But I will only allow 1 bunch on each of these, because I want them to train, become hardwood next year, and then they will look like this bottom Guillot for the year after. Because in the greenhouse I'm really forcing these grapes not to produce lots of bunches of grapes, but rather quality. And the size of the grapes, just to give you an idea of what they produced last year, were roughly the size of grapes that you'd buy in Tesco's or Lidl's. That was the size, 1 punnet, that was the size of the bunch. They were enormous, so that's what we're hoping for this year. So that's the end of the tour of the greenhouse grapes. We're now going to have a look at how the outside grapes are coming on. They're not so advanced obviously at this time of year, but with the warm weather we've had early April, they're much further on already than they should be at this time of year. So I'm just hoping we don't get any significant frosts between now and really the end of April. Okay, here we are at the oldest of the outside vines that we've got. These were bought in 2016 as, I think they were 3-year-old vines. Okay, so the Black Hamburg yields a black grape. and that gives us a red wine. And the Müller-Thurgau, obviously this is a white, and it's the Müller-Thurgau produces the grape that Germans use to make Liebfraumilch. This is exceptional growth for this time of year. It's the 12th of April, and already the florets are on a lot of these Black Homburg tips. They will become bunches of grapes. This hasn't been trained in the same fashion as the grapes in the greenhouse. I've not rigorously trained these into what's known as Guyot fashion. These have just been grown more like bush variety vines. Last September there were 64 I think bunches of grapes on these two vines. Now the problem with that is a lot of them grew into nice sized grapes, but many produced bunches of grapes which are no bigger than peas. They were beautifully sweet, and they were used in the production of some rosé wine, but this year I think I'll be making sure that not so many bunches develop and we get better quality grapes. So after we've picked all the grapes, which normally is end of September into late October, depending on how quickly things go on, the vines are then left alone for a couple of months, or the leaves drop off, and then there's extensive pruning because the vines have gone absolutely nuts through the summer and autumn months. They then go into a dormant period. So one of the main benefits of pruning back hard is the canes that come off can be used for taking further cut-ins, and these cut-ins are all off grapes either in the garden or in the greenhouse. And as you can see, this is a Black Homburg, cut-in taken last December. Just put in some rooting compound, stuffed in a pot of compost, and already this year there's the 2 shoots. That'll be my next vine. So the vines in this part of the garden are exclusively Seyval Blanc. I actually took these cut-ins from a neighbour's garden, and I've got vines here at various stages. The ones to my left, there's about 10 there that are 2-year-old vines, and these 2 that are on this row, they produced a small number of grapes last year. I cut them back severely in December, and as you can see, this year I've got some fantastic growth. So I'm hoping to get a reasonable crop off these this year without overcropping them, and then in future years hopefully they'll become fully fledged vines. 30 months ago I took my first cut-ins, and this is the oldest vine I've now got from cut-in, and as you can see this will be its 3rd year, and already just at the end here, 2 bunches of grapes, bunch of grapes in there, 2 bunches of grapes. Each one of these shoots has got a bunch of grapes in it. Probably won't keep every bunch, it'll just overproduce grapes. So I'll probably take maybe just 1 bunch on each leg. This centre part of the vine will be encouraged to go up. So ultimately this will be about 6 foot tall with a number of side guyots going off. And so we still have 1 small part of the property under vine, and I'll show you that. That's the last small little bit I'm allowed to grow grapes on. Okay, this area was a little bit of an overgrown hedge that we took out at the end of last summer, and Sandra kindly allowed me to put 7 of my cut-ins in, and as we can see already they're in really good shape. Coming out in this weather. So again, big hopes for these. In a couple of years they'll be producing some lovely wine. Okay, and finally, after 12 months of tender loving care, looking after the vines, this is the end product. This is what we aim for. This is the white from a selection of the green or white grapes that surround the house. That'll be about 11%. Similarly, about 11.5% is the red. It's a rosé rather than a red, but it's a beautiful colour. These will be ready for drinking towards the end of August this year. And the grapes that we pick in the autumn this year will be bottled up around Christmas time and be ready for drinking in the summer of 2021. Thanks for watching. Cheers.
Cheers.